being on tour is really hard and it's a lot of time, a ton of energy. It's exhausting, you're getting sick. And I was like, we're never gonna tour. Like, I don't want to put myself through that. But I also never like really thought we would get offers like that, like when like Dark Funeral starts asking you to tour, you're like, oh, maybe I should do it.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy from GhostCultMag.com, and I'm here with John, aka Blackbraid. How are you doing today, John?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I am so good, and it's great to see you. Congratulations on all your success. Congratulations on Blackbraid 2 out now everywhere. First things first, what I really appreciate in the classic style of this, it's your project. It has been your solo conjuration from the beginning, but I love how fiercely DIY you are about everything. It's almost very punk rock. I'm sure that you have had offers from record labels already. I'm sure people are approaching you constantly, but I like that you've maintained your independence and still thrived. So I wanted to ask about that, if that's part of just your ethos as an artist, is that just needs to be part of the plan so you remain in control artistically? Why DIY so far?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it has been. Yeah, it's hard to say because at the beginning, like I've turned down a lot of offers, but like when I first started it, I didn't know I would go that route, and I didn't really start doing all the DIY stuff and like doing all my own merch and shipping and everything until it got bigger, like, and I started like turning down some labels and like seeing how bad the deals were and stuff. Like, I'd rather just do it myself, was kind of how it started. Especially with like me being small when I started out and stuff, it's like really easy to do it. And then obviously like the freedom you get with being independent, like limitless. So I can do whatever I want and I don't ever have any deadlines of any sort, which is pretty sweet. So I love that. That's like kind of keeping me there, I guess. Like like now I don't even think about labels when they give me offers, because it's like I enjoy the independence more. And I kept kind of like digging in my heels more, I guess too. Like now we're kind of like a much larger operation than we were a year ago. Because me and my wife do most of it. So yeah, like now that I like keep expanding, I know I like don't need a label because I just like keep buckling down and, and kind of like making things bigger on the independent side. So yeah.
Right on. I think the old school dream for everybody, I had bands for many years, that dream of being signed and being on a label and, the almost famous way of doing things is kind of old fashioned. And I think a label is a bank you end up owing money to later. So it's a bad loan sometimes. Sometimes there are good relationships out there. And maybe someday you will align with somebody, but right now you don't need to. You listen, I say this all the time. I've done quite a bit of music marketing and PR myself, and just not everybody gets covered in decibel in the New York Times. So whatever you're doing it right. And shout out to Katie Irizarry of Suspiria PR, my homie, and she's done a wonderful job working with you lately, and just even on your own, you just managed to achieve a lot of success in a short span of time. And so I want to dial it back for a second before we talk about Blackbraid 2, which just came out literally not too long ago. It's like 18 months from release to now of the first record, and you had a single before that, and or the first single was like 18, 19 months ago, and then the first record, and now. So it's been a whirlwind. It's been fast. And I don't think I haven't seen an American black metal artist or a North American black metal artist really rise this quickly without it being disappointing. You've been so righteous. Everything has been just on point. You met, really, have this aura about your work, about the music, and the music is incredible. So it's been really, as a journalist, it's been gratifying to watch like a natural progression instead of like, again, there's this machinery in the business that just like either pushes or eats something, either pushes it hard to succeed or eats it up. So it's glad to see that you're outside of all that and you're just making art.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I love that, man. Thank you. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do, I don't want to like conform to any like I like to keep the art pure, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And then from covering you early on, but getting to see you myself just recently, live is where it's at. And I think it's been an area where historically there are some great black metal bands in the genre, but historically live is where they fail, or they just can't. It's not the same animal live as on the record. And I really love that you now put this band together. It's still you, it's still your music, but I love that it's like you have this live presentation, these rituals that are amazing. And to go out there and tour on your own in a van DIY to play with Dark Funeral, right? Who's one of the greatest bands in the world ever in the genre. It's really something to see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was fucking insane. I never even thought we'd really, I was pretty set 6 months ago, 8 months ago. I was pretty set on not touring actually. Again, like I'm independent and I have a really nice home and there's also like a lot going on here. We have like a homestead and stuff, so it's hard for me to leave at times, but I'm not one of those guys like I'm in my 30s, you know. I'm not partying crazy every night. Like I'd rather like the being on tour is really hard and it's a lot of time, a ton of energy. It's exhausting, you know, you're getting sick. And I was like, we're never gonna tour. Like I don't want to put myself through that. But I also never like really thought we would get offers like that, you know, like when like Dark Funeral starts asking you to tour, you're like, oh maybe I should do it. You know? So yeah, it's been pretty insane. I can't even remember what the question was.
Oh no, you're
But
good. It was more like all my interviews are more like a conversation than an interrogation, I promise you. I'd rather, yeah, I'm interested in getting to the heart of a thing, and if it's just a drill of questions, that's boring. And I try to make them all a little different. It's important to me. And the whole tour was great. I'm glad to hear it was overall good experience for you. And it is a grind. I don't know that fans. I know that I appreciate the eagerness that fans are desperate to see you and really want to see you in person, which is wonderful, but it's grueling to tour at any level. It's grueling to tour, even at the highest, most comfortable levels. I've seen
yeah.
some of the biggest bands in the world complain to me that they don't like touring and they rather not do any touring. They rather just make music and live. And you have to also live your life. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. The time spent between Blackbraid 1 and Blackbraid 2, these two albums. Obviously, the music cliche is, oh, my new record is the best thing I've done. But, there's definitely some maturation, right? There's a growth you wanted to show. The songs are more expansive. I know you play most of the instruments, wrote most of the pieces yourself, composed. When you go to compose, do you think in terms of vocals and lyrics first? Do you hear a sound in your head? Do you pick up a guitar? What do you go to first?
Yeah, I mean it's never really the same, you know, like it changes a bit for every song, but the majority of the time it's guitar. Like I start with riffs a lot and a lot of them start with the riffs and I'll kind of build off that. But it also I've written the opposite way too. Like sometimes I'll start with the lyrics and work backwards. So it's the riffs at the beginning for the most part, I would say though.
Right on. And then I was gonna say I didn't know if you were going the whole when Black Braid 1 came out, you were envisioning the next record. Did you write Black Braid 2 all in a shot? Here we're starting the new record today, or was it just you constantly making music and Black Braid 2 is the natural?
Yeah, I mean they're kind of like almost like a two-part album in my mind. Like maybe I had like started formulating like the ideas for like two or three of the songs already before, you know, like when I was still finishing the first one, I guess. And like when the first one was like finished and we were gonna send it to the vinyl press, like Moss, that first single was like pretty much already done. So like I could have even put that on that album if I wanted to, but it was right around then like when that album was going to the press and I was getting ready to like, you know, do a release for one or whatever, that I was like, well, I have these songs and it's like I could hold off and not release this and like try to finish them or I could just like commit to doing a second album at this point. I'd say like when I like officially decided to do that album, there's probably like two or three of those were in the works already, I'd say.
Right on. And I like that it's a fully envisioned album. You could have, like we're in a weird time in the world. You could, and again, being DIY, you could do whatever you want. You want to do an EP next? You want to do a series of singles? You want to do video content? You can do whatever you like. We're not, beholden down to these old formulaic structures anymore, which is really liberating, especially I feel like for the underground artist. It's especially great. I think it would be harder if you're doing a different genre of music. And black metal has been so solitary and singular for such a long time in a good way that it's been the vision of a handful of people, mostly talented, you know, striving for a goal instead of just, kind of like, let's go play in the garage and do
Yeah.
covers, which is fine. And we all start that way. Everybody, we all start somewhere. But yeah, it's great to see this thing just flesh out in just a couple of years and watch this. I'm excited for you, whatever's coming next. But of course, interestingly enough, also you have a very intense visual aesthetic, not just culturally, that's very important to you and very central to the music, but just in general, that runs through everything you do, every photograph. Adrian, well, I'm gonna get a shout out, Adrian. It's incredible artwork. What a gifted guy. And even like I said, just things that live performance, they're all a visual aesthetic. And I think a lot of bands don't put any attention into that. And obviously, because it's part of your culture, it's important to you that it comes with this and it's authentic as possible. But it's cool because like you don't see it often where it's so well defined. It's usually like all over the map. A bunch of guys who think they need to look a certain way come on stage or pose badly in photos. And I like that you're very thoughtful about everything.
Hell yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I don't really think about it too much, but like it kind of just all comes together, I guess. Like it's pretty easy. Like once I had, I guess, yeah, I have like a pretty solid vision of what I want. So once that's there, once you like establish that, it's pretty kind of just the rest of it fell into place, I guess. But
Right on. I'm impressed with people. Without going too deeply into this, I do want to say that overall what I've seen in the world from fans is very appreciative and very open-minded, which typically do not come from black metal fans in my whole lifetime experience as a metal fan. Certainly 25 years or more of following the genre. It's usually like a lot of this, a lot of folded arms and a lot of judgments and a lot of not open-minded to something new and a little out of the box and not the same thing they've heard over and over, especially this genre is a lack of self-awareness. But I have you felt the clearly there's a lot of positivity. Have you overwhelmingly felt the positivity? Have there been some haters in there? Just generally, I'm not trying to go too deep into the specifics.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. It's overwhelmingly positive. Yeah, like we've never really had a bad show or like a small show even like and no one really expects that. Like, but yeah, every time we play, people so far anyway, like people have just gone insane and it's like it's a beautiful thing. Like you want to expect it, but I'm never like, oh, it's gonna be, absolutely crazy tonight. And then like pretty much every night we play, it has been like every night on the Decibel tour was pretty much sold out. Like, and there was like a huge crowd, from the start. So yeah, and then we got to go play some festivals and they were the same way. So and then the first two shows we had before that were sold out. So yeah, it's been really crazy to be honest. Like everyone's overwhelmingly positive. The crowds that Blackbraid has played in front of have always been amazing. So I have zero complaints.
That's great. I'm glad to hear it. And I do feel like, again, I'll end this thread on this point, which is we haven't had a lot, there's been plenty of Native American artists in metal in general and in black metal. And we're finally getting like the recognition and the representation is not just like there was always representation, but now it's understood. And I myself was awakened a few years back with the Res Metal documentary that a lot of people have seen and some of the bigger metal websites have definitely helped promote it, as did we. So I was really happy to see that because I know people like what's safe. They like to compartmentalize everything that's like comfortable for them.
Yeah.
And music is global, and music can be anything, and music can be any genre of music, any subgenre of metal should be welcoming and open to everybody. It hasn't always been that way, and I like seeing this progression. And maybe we're improving as people, probably not, but maybe a little bit. So I'm really glad to see it just personally, just a personal statement here.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, me too. It's been crazy. I think that's probably has something to do with it, like why everyone loves Blackbraid so much. But yeah, been pretty sweet.
Right on. And then the transition from just kind of a solo artist in your home to being on stages with a full band and being a fully, this full-fledged band thing and being a front person now on stages. Is it a bit of a different animal than when you're home alone composing, or are they the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is and it isn't, like it's all kind of just Blackbraid to me. Like I'm not really like a huge people person. Like I live out in the middle of nowhere, but this at shows it's like I almost like I don't really get nervous or think about the crowd either. It's not like a huge thing for me to go out there. Like I guess it's just a little more like the screaming is definitely something I had to get used to. Like still getting used to it, but pretty comfortable. But just like the tour thing, like doing that night after night is just like exhausting and wears on your body a lot. So that's definitely a lot harder, like the physical aspect of it. But as far as like my mindset, yeah, it's about the same, I'd say, honestly.
Right on. I appreciate that. I just have a few more questions for you, man. You've been terrific. I really appreciate you. Midgard's bloat is a huge deal. We, having been formed in Europe as a website, covered Midgard's bloat actually from the beginning and a few other times. I don't think we'll be there this year, but it's a huge deal to be, picked and chosen to perform there as well as to, headline a whole part of it. So congrats to you. And also, is that intimidating at all? I know I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's like Midsommar metal, camp out in the forest. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, we're pretty pumped. I mean, we played some huge festival dates this summer. So like those were like the intimidating ones in my head, you know. Like once those are done, like I'm like, yeah, we can do Midgard spot, no problem. Like
Right on. And then any plans for the fall? Like when you come back from the summer, more touring, maybe back to a little more DIY, independent touring, local, regional. What do you think?
Yeah, we're gonna do a pretty big tour in the fall, actually. I'm probably gonna announce it tomorrow, actually. I think getting announced in like the next 48 hours at some point, so that'll be out real soon. But yeah, we're definitely gonna do one more big run in the fall before we kind of I don't tour, I don't really play shows in this winter at all and stuff. So I always try to calm it down for winter a bit, but still gonna do some more before that.
Fair enough. That's exciting, and we'll be glad to. This won't come out for a minute, so we'll be glad to share the announcement when it happens, and all the things again. Shout out to Katie. Again, equal parts. I was very excited to catch you in a big venue. I would love to see a smaller show, a more intimate show. Again, I think anybody that got to see you play a smaller club at the very beginning, like our own shout out to Jamie Sherwood from Ghost Cult, who covered the Vitus shows. They're very lucky. I do think, having seen shows all over the world, I love a big festival, I love a big show, I love a big concert environment, but also sometimes some of the music demands a little more, intimacy, and I like the small. I'm from New York, and I'm gonna go make it a point to go visit St. Vitus when I go back soon. So listen, congratulations on everything. I think all things considered, very few people handle this as well as you have, just kind of been consistent like you have been creatively, and I'm really excited for the future Blackbraid tours and music. So just from the bottom of my heart and all of us at Ghost Cult, congrats and thank you so much for this time.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you. It was awesome.